mushroom forest. Alina Kozlova, a third-year philosophy student at Moscow University, had long felt that something greater lurked beyond the veil of everyday reality. She had always been drawn to mysticism, psychology, and the boundaries of consciousness. So when an old friend, Roman, who had moved to the Carpathians to pursue ecotourism, invited her and her friends to a remote mountain village called Verknij Yalovets, she agreed almost instantly. The group was diverse but close-knit. Cheeky Artyom, who never ran out of jokes, the thoughtful and slightly reserved Vera, and Vlad, a quiet young man with a passion for botany and mushroom foraging. What united them all was a shared desire to break free from the mundane and touch the unknown. Roman promised to show them unique places, ancient forests barely touched by civilization, and perhaps even lead them to the ruins of an abandoned children's sanatorium, whispered about by locals. Rumor had it that back in the 1970s, the facility treated special children until it was abruptly shut down, officially due to a landslide. Yet darker stories persisted. Tales of disappearances, voices from the woods, and people who returned, different. They arrived in Yalovets early in the morning, with cold fog curling along the ground, hiding the mountains behind a thick veil. Roman met them by an old wooden bridge, aged, bearded, looking like a hermit or shaman, but greeting them with warmth and a raspy laugh. "Don't be afraid," he said as they discussed their trek. "The forest will accept you as long as you don't challenge it." By the third day, after a couple of nights camping by a stream and a dip in a frigid mountain lake, the group finally reached the old sanatorium. The building hid behind a wall of fir and beech trees, as if it didn't want to be found. Massive, gray, with shattered windows and rusting fences, it exhaled a silence soaked in memory. Children here used to see what adults ignored, Roman murmured as they passed the crumbling entrance, and then they began to disappear. The trail continued into the heart of the forest, where their mushroom hunt began. Vlad confidently identified psilocybin species, carefully storing them in a separate pouch. Alina, captivated by Roman stories and rare mushroom finds, suddenly noticed something unusual at the base of an old oak. A mushroom unlike any she'd seen before. Inky black with a violet sheen, faintly pulsing, emitting a weak, sweet scent. "What is this?" she asked, showing it to Vlad. He frowned, examined it, then shook his head. "Never seen it before." "Maybe don't." Against her better judgment, Alina decided to try it, biting off a tiny piece and chewing. The taste was strange, metallic, like touching a battery with your tongue. Within a couple of hours, her perception began to shift. At first, just sensations. The forest felt alive. Tree trunks seemed like sentient beings, and the sky, an enormous dome above a boundless temple. She laughed, running barefoot through moss, feeling one with nature, until she suddenly saw a little girl, standing by the remains of a swing set, small, in a gray dress, with a vacant stare. "Who are you?" Alina whispered. The girl didn't reply. She only pointed toward the sanatorium. From that moment, the visions intensified. She began hearing children's voices in the night, saw figures near the firelight that weren't really there. Alina tried telling her friends, but they dismissed it as a side effect of the mushrooms. Only Roman looked at her differently, not with fear, but understanding. "You've gone deeper than the rest of us," he said one night while the others slept. "The forest opened to you, but it didn't open for nothing." The next day, Vlad disappeared. His tent was empty, and no one had heard him leave. They searched the forest all day, shouting, scanning the trails. By evening, Roman found his backpack in the grass, along with a notebook filled with strange lines. "They laugh from the walls. They call me to them. I remember this place. I've been here before." Panic gripped the group. Vera began to cry. Artyom wanted to head back to the village and call for help, but there was no cell signal. Phones were dead. GPS was erratic. Alina felt that what was happening had already crossed the boundary of the rationale. She saw the girl again. This time she spoke, in a voice Alina somehow recognized, like a whisper from her earliest childhood. That night, Alina went to the sanatorium. Her friends tried to stop her, but she was in a trance. Inside, the air was damp and musty, the walls covered in mold, but here and there were faded children's drawings. She walked the halls, feeling a presence beside her, unseen. At the end of one corridor, an old room, its walls plastered with ancient photographs. On one of them, herself as a child, standing with her mother, but she had never been here. Or had she? Her mind fractured. Alina saw herself in a mirror, not as she was now, but as a frightened,